Hey scrappers, if you're looking to figure out what materials you should sell this week or hold this week, now is the time to do it. Our weekly report is going to give you that information, up-to-date market news, pricing. Let's get right into it and we'll talk about it inside. Hey scrappers, it's Tom, and today is the last Wednesday that we will be doing this in June. Today is June 28th, 2023, and next week we'll be doing a little 4th of July celebration. It'll be on the 5th when we do our weekly report, but hopefully you guys have a nice weekend planned. I know a lot of people have a little longer weekend because the holiday falls on a Tuesday, and I'll tell you, I've said this before, watch out because you're going to have all types of grills popping out on the street over the next week and a half. Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day are the biggest grill seasons for us at Rockaway Recycling. We see more grills coming in that time of year. So, watch out. You're going to have not only the stainless, but the aluminum ones. And we have different videos that you can check out to see, how to take them apart or things like that. But watch out for some of those prices. And let's just jump right into it. I mean, we're talking about stainless. And we're talking about aluminum now. Stainless steel. We've seen the nickel markets having a really mixed bag of emotions, right? And I mean that in a funny way because nickel prices are still trading around $20,000 to $22,000 per ton. So you see like raw nickel prices being really strong. You see the demand for nickel being really strong from the electric vehicle market because of the batteries, because they want nickel to go into many of these batteries. What you don't see strong is the stainless prices. These 304 stainless prices have just been, I believe the correct phrase is poo-poo. We just haven't seen a strong market. 33 cents is what our national average is at through the reported prices right now. And in my opinion, that number should be 20 cents higher. But the demand, it's just not there for some reason. And I can't figure out why we don't see a strong pricing for stainless steel right now. But not only are we seeing weak prices on stainless, we're also starting to see scrap yards and larger processors charge more for oversized pieces of stainless, which is something I've talked about. So what does that mean? If you bring in pieces that are more than like 3 or 4 feet long, you may start to get a decreased price. It might say oversized stainless or unprepared stainless. And this is where you have to ask about your receipts. Ask before you leave. We tell customers at our yard every time they're here, before they leave, if they have questions on their tickets, to ask us, because if they don't agree with prices, we'll give the material back or we'll explain to them why we do things. And this is a really good tip because you want to know what you're getting paid. That's how you make money, right? And I don't care if it's full-time or part-time, you want to know what the price is before you leave, because once you get in your car, your truck, your van, and you drive away, and 8 hours later, you're at your house and you unfold this ticket and you have a question, that material's already been processed. It could have been thrown in the pile. It could have been shipped. It could have been blended in. So these are just things to keep in mind when you go to do your scrap. Always check those tickets. But stainless prices are down, and aluminum prices we can talk about for a second too because of those grills. Of course, the grills are generally considered a cast aluminum. Many of them have stainless pieces and steel pieces, so especially check the inserts. Sometimes the inserts are steel, sometimes they're stainless steel, so your trusty magnet is your favorite friend there. On a cast aluminum, we're seeing 36 cents a pound as a national average right now. Still a little weak. Those aluminum markets have decreased over the last couple of months. Cast aluminum prices down, sheet aluminum prices also nothing really crazy. We've seen a couple of cents increase here or there, but sheet aluminum is a great item that you can upgrade by looking at the grades, learning about the grades through videos that we've done here on our YouTube channel. But when you look at sheet aluminum prices right now, we have a national average that's right around 41 cents. It's down slightly, and I don't expect real large increases on the aluminum or the nickel stainless side for the balance of the summer. In fact, over the last week and a half, we've seen some decreased market prices, and we'll talk about some of those. We've seen catalytic converter prices on a national average dipping down below $90 for an OEM cat. So what's important with the catalytic converters right now is where the markets are and where these prices are. And these are just things that I do on my own, but I'll quickly show you. These are different price charts. Nope, doesn't blend well. Nope, sorry. So I'll see if we can get it to work. But I have different price charts that I look at. And when I look at catalytic converter prices, I look at platinum, palladium, and rhodium. And if you can see here, here's an overall market, right? And the red part is kind of where we are now. And when you look at some of these huge spikes, you can just see how different the market was. Look at platinum over here, right? You're looking at platinum prices in 2010 that were over $1,800 per ounce. Rhodium here, you have peaking out at $30,000 an ounce, but at a level right now of $5,900. When you look back, these prices 10 years ago, 7 years ago, they were below $5,000 an ounce. So we still have higher prices. And then palladium over here, you look at the palladium prices in 2010 at $500. Today, it's trading below $1,500. This is a chart that I printed out a couple of weeks ago. You're not looking at prices that are really far off from historical numbers, even taking inflation and the amount of money that was printed into effect. The prices are still higher than the traditional historical averages. What happened with catalytic converters the last 2.5 years was really a bit of an aberration from a huge backlog of COVID. And the team over at rrcats.com tracks these prices. And when you see these prices for catalytic converters, you want to wonder what they are, how you get them. So here you can see platinum prices right now, below $925 an ounce. And if you look back 10 years, you're looking at platinum that was over $1,500. And it doesn't surprise me that some of these prices went down, because if you look at the two major markets for platinum, catalytic converters or catalysts and jewelry. Now, when you take electric vehicles and you throw that into the mix, you're decreasing a lot of those catalytic converter precious metals that are needed. And that's one of the reasons that we've seen platinum decrease the way that we have. So these are things to keep in mind. But an average OEM catalytic converter right now is right around $88 to $90 per cat. So when you look at prices, it's important to learn where the market comes from. But if you are looking for price quotes, rrcats.com gives you free price quotes, holds those quotes for 10 business days, and gives you free shipping on all OEM catalytic converters. So continue to check the team out at rrcats.com today. What else is going on? Before we hop into some of the copper and steel prices, I want to tell you a story. I like these scrap stories. I always think of them more and more. So this happened about 9 or 10 years ago. We got in 4 or 5 tractor trailers, and that was for old statues from a very big movie series that was going on. It was a trilogy, and I'll give you a hint. There was elves and short people in it, and they were trying to destroy a ring. So you figure out which one it was. But we got boxes and boxes and boxes of units that we had to destroy. And it was funny because when you look online, we never resell anything. We'll just destroy it. We provide certificates of destruction along with pictures, but we were chopping up all new inventory. And that's happened many times to us before. But we had all these characters with bow and arrows and spears and little swords and things like that. And some of the statues used to sell for $300, $400, $500 each. Some of the big ones were 2.5 foot tall, and they would go for like $2,000, $3,000. And here we are chopping them up. They were like a solder lead mix that we were able to chop up. They were funny. They had all types of sand inside of them to help weigh them down, wood bases, and kind of like what Ford did with the Model T. We just set up an assembly line. We had 4 long tables and 2 dumpsters, and we would unpackage, because it was a pallet with boxes, and in the box there were more boxes, and each of those boxes had styrofoam and plastic. So we had to separate everything out. We had different dumpsters for cardboard, different dumpsters for styrofoam. It was funny because we were shipping out 30-yard dumpsters full of styrofoam, and they weighed like 800 pounds, 1,000 pounds. But we took all the statues, we cut them up, and we just kind of scrap them. And I'm sure you've seen some cool things in the past. And one thing that's really important, if you ever find jobs where they have good product and they say, hey, we don't want this resold, respect that and make sure you come up with a method where whether you're destroying it on your own or you're selling it to a scrapyard, your word will follow you with a lot of this stuff. And knock on wood, we've been very fortunate at Rockaway Recycling. When we tell customers we're going to destroy stuff, we destroy it. We provide pictures and documentation, and that's something that you can look for with different scrapyards that you go out and deal with. So let's talk about copper. Copper's been a little bit of a sore spot the last few days. Last week, I believe Wednesday or Thursday, we saw copper prices trading at $3.93. And we started to see the Bear Bright numbers creeping its way up, averaging over $3 a pound, as you can see here nationally. Now, that was really great. And these are 30-day averages, which are still up. Because what we've seen is the month of May, copper prices were lower. We had a little dip up, then it was down, and now it's going back down. And you can kind of see with a sporadic graph that we have how the copper prices have been reported. They've been very choppy the last week or so. You see some prices, $2.86, $3.40, $3, but these are going to be numbers that will start to be trending down because in the last 5 trading days, we've seen copper erase 22 cents per pound. And that was, we recorded this in the morning. That was 22 cents going into the middle of Wednesday. So unfortunately, we've seen a decrease. And with the holiday weekend coming up, we're going to see lower copper trading numbers because don't forget, copper has become a traded commodities, just like stocks get traded. Copper contracts get traded sometimes. So some of these are false demands and some of these are false numbers. And it's funny because when I looked at the London Metal Exchange recently, their copper supplies, their inventories are down. And not only are they down, a lot of the material was already sold, which shows that there's a lack of copper still. The demand is there, but the price isn't catching up. And that's because of economic data out of China with slower growth. That's from economic data out of the US with goods and services kind of switching places where people were buying stuff in 2020, 21, and 22. And now instead of buying stuff, people are now doing stuff. And that's the service and the travel industry. And I talk about that in this week's newsletter. With the service and travel industry picking up, people are now spending money on experiences and not on goods. So the extra refrigerators, the new cars, the home renovation projects, those are waning down and the experiences are picking up. So while the economy hasn't come to a real slowdown, people thought we would have hit some type of a bigger recession by now. Things have kind of traded places. And I saw it yesterday. Delta's CEO came out and said that their travel demand is just through the roof. They can't get enough pilots. They can't get enough routes. All of their routes are selling out to almost every single destination that they're going to, which is great because they were hit so hard during COVID. But now when it comes to the demand for metal, that scrap value isn't there like it was the last 2.5 years. So copper prices have decreased. I still think that we're going to see the markets decrease more. And then I have on there a hold for copper brass wire this week. But I really think that those prices long-term are going to pick up really strong. But for the balance of the 2023 summer, I don't see a lot of good happening right now when it comes to the scrap markets. I just see a lot of getting by. And I try not to bring politics into this, but we're on the cusp of a presidential election. And that does mean a lot to the economy because different administrations and different candidates have different projects they want to focus on, which use or don't use commodities. So these are things that are all up in the air, along with financial policies and just a lot of stuff going on right now. What else have we seen going on? We've seen a big demand online for people talking about cars and how to really maximize. So we're going to be working with one of our friends that owns an auto wrecker. And in the coming weeks, we're going to be doing a film and we're going to be going over all the different parts of the car, as well as showing you how cars get taken apart and the proper procedures to be able to scrap them, whether it's draining the fluids, getting the catalytic converter off, documenting the title and VIN numbers that many state laws now require to scrap catalytic converters, So we'll be doing that in the coming weeks. If there are any specific things that you want to see us talk about, please comment below or email us. This way we can kind of put together a presentation that caters to what you guys want to see when it comes to different scrap prices. Other news in the market, steel prices have gone up over the last week. We have seen steel prices increasing. So now would be a good time to sell some of your steel. Light iron and steel prices have been going up in a very strong way. As you can see here, national 30-day averages are really increasing across all steel markets right now. So, the reason I would recommend selling is sometimes you get these hot streaks, and if you're holding on, you might want to cash in for some of the prices going up. We've seen light iron prices $150, $160, $170 per ton. Some heavier grades of steel have crept up into the 220 to 250 range. And I know many people are going to comment that they're only getting, 5 cents a pound or 4 cents a pound. And we know that certain areas of the country are less pricing. This is or lower pricing. We know this is just always going to happen. And I don't have to go into it, but transportation, rail, things like that. But because we have seen fuel prices decreasing, especially compared to last summer, we've seen an oversupply of trucks compared to the number of loads that are being moved. So because of those things, we've started to see more trucks available to move scrap, and that has decreased some of the trucking costs, which has been pushed into some of the steel costs. Here you can see some of the light iron prices, national average 138 per ton. And you can see all the different prices in different areas of the country that it's been reported over the last few days to give you an idea of where you are and trying to compare your prices to other areas and see where your markets are at. But overall, still strong steel prices. So that is a nice bright spot in this week's market. So if you are holding steel, I do recommend selling it, because it won't surprise me if we see a $30, $40, $50 decrease later this summer, July, August, just because the commercial sector is really not firing on all 8 cylinders right now. We don't see major commercial growth, which needs that steel. We're not seeing huge ships or huge buildings being built right now. And the infrastructure plan is going to use commodities, but not in the extent that we would really want or need it to really push it forward and move those markets along. Brass prices have been down along with the copper prices. So the brass markets for yellow brass has been decreasing. We've seen some nice reported prices for some of these markets. You see $1.89 average on some of the yellow brass prices. We've seen different reported prices for bronze in the 220 range, some brass shells around $1.76 right now. So still strong pricing on brass. I know copper prices are down, but because that's only part of what goes into the brass market, and things like zinc and tin also can go into brass, we haven't seen a huge decrease in the yellow brass numbers, but we are seeing, a little weakening as the copper markets have decreased over the last few days. So recap, I'd hold some metals like some of your coppers and your wires. I'd probably go and hold some of your stainlesses, and I would really look for your steel markets. You can even call your scrap yards and ask if they can increase pricing. And generally they'll do that for 2 or 3 tons or more, or if you promise them X amount during the week, sometimes they'll pay you a base price and then they'll credit you afterwards. That's always a good negotiating tool if you're doing a lot of steel scrap right now. So check out some of the other prices online. Our website is up and running. Lots of prices available, lots of materials to learn about, see what people are posting online. Check our YouTube out for others' recommendations on how to make more money. We have new videos that we put on YouTube every single week. We have different sections. So if you're a serious scrapper and you're looking to learn even more, we have a scrapper membership that you can kind of pop on there and see our members only videos that we pop out, as real good information comes out there. So check those things out. Looking for new videos, let us know. Comment below so we can read through the comments and look at any of the ideas that you guys are looking for. We'll have the new car video coming out in the coming weeks or couple of months, depending on editing time. And we have a couple of cool things in the pipeline that we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about ingot recycling. We might try making some ingots on our own and showing you our opinion on what it takes to make them and if it's worth it or not. So we'll have some videos coming out in the coming weeks, and we look forward to hearing your perspectives and takes on those. Scrappers, my name is Tom. I wish everyone a very happy 4th of July weekend. Always celebrating America's birthday is a great thing. Been around for many, many years at this point, so it's just a proud moment. Watch those fireworks. Make sure you're not driving and having some extra sodas, and watch out for those grills. That scrap is going to be everywhere. So until next week, Scrappers, this is Tom, and I'll scrap you later.
Thanks for checking out this scrap video. For more exclusive scrap video content, please become a YouTube member of our channel today. Thank you, and I'll scrap you later.